Today I'm going to be showing you the troubleshooting and repair process for the Bobcat controller base. This one was taken from a Excavator 331, and the issue the customer was experiencing was that they were having some output power problems. So let's see, I have it hooked in, so we can turn it on. One of the things I'll immediately notice is that we have 4 lights blinking here. Now this little rabbit one, we're not really supposed to be getting, so that's going to be an error. And if I press and hold for the codes, we'll get 0216, 721, these are normal, and then 20-02, so that one we're not supposed to get. Now as you can tell, I am bench testing this, so I don't have every single wire, sensor, and so on, so it is normal for us to be getting some of those codes to pop up, but the 20-02 is not one we're supposed to be seeing. Now one of the issues the customer was stating was that on the J1 connector, which is this one, they were missing some output voltage, so we're going to be looking in that area specifically. My first step is to open up the unit so we can take a closer look inside. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nick. I started Nick's Electronics Repair about a decade ago, and since then we fixed over 27,000 devices. As you can see, it says J1 black, so that's going to be our first connector here, this one here. The customer is saying that some of the voltages were missing. One of the things I know is that this component right here, U21, does have some of the pins go to these pins over here. So I am in beep mode. When we have a short, we get a beep, and this pin over here is connected directly to this pin over here. Our 12 volts is also connected to the input pins here. And of course we have our ground over here. So when I connect my connector and power it up and see what is the output voltage we're getting right here. We're getting 6.58 volts. DC, of course. The customer does seem to think that the output voltage is not correct, so we're going to go ahead and troubleshoot a little further. And if you've seen any of my other Bobcat repair videos, you'll know that a lot of the times we see issues with resistors. So for example, we have often seen 10,000 ohms or 7,500 ohm resistors fail open, as well as 100 ohm resistors. It's going to be hard for me to show you both the display as well as the values on the resistors, so I'll just have to call those out. This one is a 10 kilo ohm resistor. 9.9 kilo ohms, that's also within spec. This one's also a 10 kilo ohm resistor. And I'm getting mega ohms. Let me try adjusting my pins real quick here. Oh, okay, so now it's completely failed open. So this 10 kilo ohm resistor over here has failed open and it will need to be replaced. Let's keep going. We have another 100 ohm resistor over here. And that one's reading 8.4 kilo ohms. So that's supposed to be 100 ohms. It is 8,500 ohms right now, so it's way too high. What that tells me is that that 100 ohm resistor probably failed open, and what we're reading is something else, another component in circuit. So I've actually checked the rest of the board and I haven't found any other failed resistors, so those are the only 2. So let's go ahead and replace them, and then we can go ahead and do another voltage check. So the 2 resistors in question were this one over here, this 1002 labeled resistor that's supposed to be 10 kilo ohms. That one was reading in the mega ohms. And then we have this 100 ohm resistor over here, and that one was reading 8.5 kilo ohms, I believe it was. They are covered in silicone, so I'm scratching away at it to remove that coating in order to be able to make good contact with my soldering iron and the components. And just to clarify, I am really fast forwarding through this whole process. Typically, I do check every single surface mount resistor because any of them can fail. So I just kind of went to the finish line and showed you the end process when I had already identified the 2 defective components. I just rotated the board, so that's going to be a little easier for me to desolder these components, and I like to usually just flood both sides of the components with solder and then go back and forth between both pads until I can remove it. Oh, and one more thing I want to clarify is that there's also a lot of resistors on the front side of the board, and those also do and can fail. So you want to check those as well. Now we can desolder with the wick. We'll clean up the area with isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. We'll bring in our 100 ohm resistor, slide it in, as well as the 10 kilo ohms. I'm going to rotate the board. And now we can lock in the other side. I'm pretty sure I got good flow, but I'm gonna add a little flux. We're just gonna touch that up real quick. Just gonna make the joints a little prettier. That's better. Final cleanup. All right, let's reconnect. Let's turn on our device. Okay, so let's recheck. We were getting 6 volts before. Hey, look at that. So we do actually have a different voltage. We're getting 5.21 volts. Okay, let's flip the board over and we'll immediately notice we no longer have the rabbit light flashing. That's actually really good news. That means those 2 resistors were the cause of the fault for that. So if I hold for codes, I'm willing to bet that my 20-02 is no longer going to be present. So we're going to cycle through those, 921, and it should be the next one where it was, and it's no longer present. So I just skipped through it. So that 20-02 fault code we were triggering, which is the 2-speed error on, is no longer being triggered after replacing those 2 resistors. So that does confirm we have successfully repaired the controller base. If you have a controller base you would like to send in for us to fix, we do offer flat rate services which come with a 1-year warranty, and those are available on our website, which I will link in the description down below. If you found the video helpful or useful, leave us a like, subscribe for more content, and thank you for watching.